Um, okay, I'm back unmuted. So anyway, guys, good morning. We just have some really good ideas that we think everybody will find helpful to keep our social distancing. And some of these features we're going to show you, they're not new. They've been in the program for a long time, but we're finding that they're pretty useful for the recommended social distancing that the CDC recommends. So Jamie's going to go ahead and go through some different features. And again, if everybody can go ahead and mute their phones, that would make it a lot less noisy in the background. So Jamie, why don't you go ahead and we'll try to get through this.
That sounds good. All right. So as you guys all know, these were the numbers as of yesterday. They've gone up quite a bit since then, but of course, COVID-19 has really turned our industry upside down as well as a lot of other industries, and we're all kind of scratching our heads on what to do. You know, as of yesterday, there were 716,000 reported confirmed incidences that have gone up since then. And the United States is currently leading that, so it is the current hotspot with over 137,000 cases. As we look through it, you know, there's a lot of promising things that are going to help slow this virus down, but it looks like social distancing and isolation are currently the best methods for avoiding the virus. So that leads us into kind of our next step here. Is it looks like social distancing may be the new normal, at least until something's discovered. Jerry, you want to fill us in on what's going on here in Idaho?
Well, we thought we were going to be immune to the whole vaccine or the whole virus thing. We were one of the last states to get it, but we live in a small community, and Jamie and I are still, you know, golf course superintendent and golf pro, and we really thought we were going to dodge this bullet. But it turns out that our little community, we have 5 towns in our community with a population of 20,000, and we have over 150. Thanks, James. So yeah, we're not immune, and we're trying to put together a plan that we can send our workers out safely and get our job assignments completed. We know it's going to be a bit of a challenge for us, but we think we have some pretty good ideas. So go ahead, James.
Yeah, so, you know, it looks like what's going to end up happening is, you know, and this is going to be the case until either a vaccine is produced or until enough people develop an immunity that's going to allow us to have a little bit of protection on that. And the vaccine looks like it could take a year, and the immunity, who knows how long that's going to take. So being able to practice this social distancing is going to be really important for golf clubs, especially for golf maintenance staff. Of course, when I think about a golf course, you know, the most important asset to the member or to the golfer is probably the golf course, but people are required to maintain that. So in our view, the actual labor is probably the most important, because without the labor, we don't have golf courses, and without golf courses, we don't have a golf industry. So protecting our labor is really important, and making sure that our guys stay healthy is going to be paramount. So some of the things that we see being done around for good strategies is they're moving their staff meetings outside of their break rooms. You can see here, you get very crowded. You can't maintain that 6 feet separation. So they're holding staff meetings in larger areas. So a lot of guys I've seen, like at Arroyo, they've actually moved their whole TV out into their mechanic work bay, where it's a lot larger, where the guys can spread out. We've heard some guys moving it outdoors so the guys can maintain their 6 feet of separation and do that kind of stuff to help maintain that area, so those guys aren't spreading anything if someone is sick. The other thing is staggered start times and lunch times for staff. So generally in that break room, everyone's coming in at the same time, either for their morning job assignments or their afternoon but staggering those by, say, an hour where we have someone come in at 6 and then the next group come in at 7. So you're giving a little bit more space, giving yourself time to sanitize that area after the first group leaves and the second wave comes in is also a pretty good option that we've seen a lot of guys doing. Another big thing is equipment, is how to keep that sanitized. And I think the best thing is, of course, you can always sanitize that equipment after every use, which you're probably going to have to do. But trying to have that same staff member use that piece of equipment will also be key, not only in keeping the virus from spreading, but probably reassuring your staff that they're always jumping on that same piece of equipment and they know that they're the only person on that equipment. And then another big thing is probably switching from maybe a face-to-face meeting where you're in close contacts and communicating via text, email, and the job board a little bit more, so these guys can kind of get their assignments from a distance. They don't have to be right up on the job board to see what's going on. So we're going to show how taskTracker can help in these 4 areas we go through. We're going to start off really basic, and as the seminar goes on, it's going to show you how you can build on each of these steps if you want to. So I think the most basic thing we can start with here is how can we help, how can taskTracker help? And the first thing is going to be, we're going to talk about some mass emails and texting employees, communication lines open without having them to be there. Also, sending the job board to employees to view on their smartphones. So I don't know if a lot of guys know this, but you can actually send that board without requiring them to log in, and they can see what's going on for the day. They can see their job assignments without having to be right up on the board. So when it comes to outbound or spread out areas, it makes it very easy for those guys to kind of follow along on their phone. You can also control when they see those jobs. So we'll show you how taskTracker can help you control when they see the actual job. Then we'll move into assigning pieces of equipment. Now, for those people with the elite version, there's an equipment assign feature. For those that have premium or basic, you can put those in the notes to assign equipment. But how to keep assigning that same piece of equipment to the same employees. And we have an algorithm on our side that will do that. For anyone that's just joining, if you just want to mute your phones or your computers, this way you won't get that reverberation. The next thing is setting up employee mobile. So employees can actually see their task for the day.
Hey James, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey James, why don't you just mute everybody, including me, because we're getting a lot of feedback on this end.
All right, now, so we'll go ahead and set up the employee mobile for the employees, and they can see their tasks for the day as well as their schedules. And then the last step we'll do is we'll assign employees a staggered schedule. So we'll show you how we can assign those staggered schedules for the guys. Okay, so the first part we'll go ahead and jump into is how to set up mass texting and emailing. We'll go ahead and jump into our board here real quick. So this is the taskTracker board. Most people who have taskTracker are very familiar with this. But first of all, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go to the employee management page. I'll log in here. I'll go to the employee management page, and we'll go ahead and show you how to set up the mass contact. As you can look over here, you can see some people have cell phone numbers entered just by looking at their phone. You can see that they have a cell phone number entered. I'm going to click in here. And the first thing you're going to want to do to set up this mass email and texting is you're going to want to go to contacts, and you're going to want to enter a mobile phone and an email address. This is going to allow you to unlock the features of taskTracker for messaging. So once I have that entered, I can go into the messaging portion, which is at the top of the screen here. And anyone who has a cell phone number will have a text box here, and anyone who has an email will have an email. So I've only got these 3 entered for contact information. If you have your entire staff entered, they'll all show up here. And the nice thing is here, I can send out a mass text to everyone by clicking on this top box. It'll check everyone in that list, and it'll show them right here that we'll be texting. I can also email them as well. So if someone doesn't have a texting plan or someone doesn't have an email, you can kind of cover your bases in both directions. And maybe you could put a quick message here, start times, and then maybe you have the blue team going at 6:30 in the morning, and then maybe purple at 7:30. So if you're doing your staggered start, you can remind these guys every week that they're going to be their schedule. The blue team's coming in at 6:30, purple's coming in at 7:30. And the nice thing is also to remind them of lunch, and maybe they're at 10:30, and then lunch for these guys is going to be at an hour later at 11:30. And I can go ahead and send that message off. Now, the message is two-way when you're dealing with email, so the guys can't email you back. The texting is just one way, so they can't text you back and say they've got it, so just keep that in mind. But this is a great way to keep employees up to date on what's going on, whether something's come about because of the virus or the course is closed for some reason or it's open, just to keep the guys informed. It's just a real easy way to do that. If you're looking to filter these guys out as well, you can do that using the filter feature up here. So maybe I just want to send the text the blue. I can go ahead and filter out the blue guys, and you can see I'm just going to be sending out to that first group. So if I want to send a special message to them, I can, or if I want to send a special message to the second group, I can do that as well here. So that's a little bit about texting and emailing. That's the first step, I think, as far as kind of keeping that distance and keeping the communication lines open. The next feature we're going to go ahead and roll into is going to be how do you send out that job board. So a lot of times you have this job board on the TV, but this job board can also be shown on each employee's phone. So if they do have a smartphone, they can see this job board. Let me show you how that's going to work. So I'll jump into our board again. I'm going to go to the work board page. Now everyone's very familiar with working in this section. If I go up here to display board, I can click on this, and this link at the top is going to be the link that you want to send your guys. So if I copy this link, I'm just going to Control-C, or you can right-click and copy that link. You can email it to your guys, or you can text it to your guys. You can even create what's called a QR code. You can go online and say, here's a QR code. You can enter this in there, and I'll show you how to do that. And then you can print it off on a piece of paper, and the guys can scan it with their phone. But what I'll show you, I'm going to go in and text it. So just like I was showing you before, we'll go into the employee management. We'll go into our messaging. We're going to text everyone the work board, and you can see here that the work board the link is right there, and I'm going to text it to all these guys. They'll get that work board link, and they'll be able to open that up on their phones, so they can go ahead and follow along. Now, the nice thing about this link is you don't have to send this link out every day. This link will automatically roll from day to day. So you don't have to keep sending this every day. They have the link. We recommend that they save it and then access it every day. That brings us to our next step in here is how do we control what the employees want to see? So the employees will be looking at, here's all your jobs. The employees will see what's on the job board. Maybe you want to control what they're seeing as far as when they see that first job versus when they see that second job. The way we do that is through our work board management, our show jobs. So we have here our show jobs. You can see here that we're going to show the first job at 7 a.m. We'll show the next job at 9 a.m. And then the third job will show at 10 a.m. So right now, only the first job is showing. So we can see it's just job 1 here. So if I sent that link out to all the workers, they would only see job 1. And then job 2 would show automatically at 9 a.m. Now, if it's 7:30 and you want to show the second jobs, you can easily flip this over here, save the changes, and then this will go ahead and it will refresh to show the second jobs, and the guys would be able to see their second jobs. If you go to this 3 dots and you go to show jobs and there's only show all, that means you haven't set this up yet. I'll show you how to set that up real quick. What you'll do is you'll go to Program Setup. You will go into your display board. You'll go right here to Display Board Jobs and Employees, and you'll see Display Board Jobs. We click Manage. And here you can add jobs. So I have jobs 1, 2, and Show All. Show All means that if you've got any jobs past 2, like 3, 4, at 10 a.m. it'll show 3, 4, 5, how many jobs you have set up. And you can just simply add a job and put the time that you want to show it. And that's the default. Every board, though, has its own time. So if you wanted to change that for today, you just go into your work board and just adjust the time for today. So the next feature here is, obviously we saw when you control the employees see the job. The next will be assigning equipment. So trying to keep employees on that same piece of equipment will be really important, probably through the next couple months at least. So let me show you how we can do that. We'll go into our board. So on our work board, I have some guys set up right here to do mow greens and roughs. If I click into Rye here, if I just open up Rye, we're going to see we have a little gear. If you don't have the elite version, you can go ahead and write a note of what the employee will be taking that day. But I'm just going to click into the gear here. And I want to show you that we have our Toro Greensmaster as our favorite. If I look into all of our equipment, this is all the equipment we have. So if I don't have a favorited piece of equipment, the system's not going to know what to assign when we do this smart equipment feature. And the way you just favorite a piece of equipment here is you just click on this star and it'll go ahead and highlight it. And from there, you can go ahead and assign a piece of equipment. So we've got some favorited pieces of equipment. We can see that. I'm going to go up to the smart equipment feature. And you can see there's that favorited piece of equipment, the Toro Greensmaster. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Run Smart Equipment. Now, this has an algorithm on the back end that's looking for which employee who's used that piece of equipment the most. So here you can see we have the GM favorited, which is this Toro's Greensmaster, and it's assigned Rye 1, 2, and 3. If I erase Joe Dirt and I rerun this equipment, it's going to assign the same piece of equipment to those guys. So day after day, it's going to keep assigning him that equipment. And so it goes through and assigns everyone for the day. I can go ahead and hit Apply Changes, and all my equipment's been assigned. I can go ahead and hit Save. And then I can go back to my job board, and as it refreshes, it's going to show which piece of equipment each person's taking. So there's no confusion on, I'm supposed to be taking the Sand Pro 1, and that's the piece of equipment I'll always be taking throughout the duration of this if I'm working the bunkers. So a nice thing to do here too is to keep in mind that if you've got 3 Sand Pros, you might want to have the same guys always working on those Sand Pros as much as you can, so they're continuing to use that same piece of equipment. So maybe the variations of jobs may change a little bit during this period of flux, whereas most guys are usually doing the same jobs just to keep them on that same piece of equipment. Now, for those that are either in the basic, or the basic doesn't allow texting or messaging. So Gerald and I talked about this. Anyone who wants to upgrade to the premium or even the elite to assign equipment during this time where we're practicing the social distancing, at least through July or so, we're happy to upgrade everyone for free to do that so they can go ahead and utilize some of these features to keep their staff safe and healthy. So if anyone wants to be assigning equipment, just email Gerald and I will be happy to turn on all these features for you so you can utilize taskTracker to its fullest to help keep your crew safe. So the next one we want to talk about here is, we want to move into how do we set our staggered schedules. So once we have our employees, actually before that, I want to talk a little bit, I think I missed a slide here. I want to talk a little bit how to set up employee mobile. So let me show you how we can set up employee mobile from taskTracker, which will be really helpful if you want to give your guys a little bit more access, and it'll really help when you have the staggered schedule. So we just saw here how we could send out that job board and everyone can see what everyone else is doing. We can go one step farther and allow employees to actually have their own portal into the job board where they can see what jobs they're going to do for the day, as well as see what schedule you have set for them for the day. So we'll talk a little bit about employee mobile, and I'll bring over my phone here. And I'm just going to go to my employee mobile side here. So each employee can have their own login to a taskTracker. They can see, if they click on time clock, they can see what's going on here with time clock, where they can see what jobs they have going on. I can go back to my home screen. I can see what schedules I have set for myself. So right now I don't have any schedules set other than on the 29th. I'll show you how we can set those schedules, and we can write notes back to you as far as if I become sick, I can let you know on the schedule, and you can see that as well. So let me show you how to set that up. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to go to the employee management page. And I'm going to go to myself here because I've kind of already set myself up. You can see that I have mobile access added. So I'm going to click onto myself here. I'm going to go over to the tab that says mobile. And there's a couple of ways we can set this up. We can give the user a username, and then we can actually set a password. So some guys will set the same passwords for their entire staff, and they'll just change their username, and they'll let the guys know, hey, your username is your first name and your last initial, and the password is test1234. Not as secure, we don't recommend that, but some guys do that. Or you can, if you've got their email address already entered into the system, you can send out an invitation for them to go ahead and fill out their own information, set their own username and password. And the way you send out an invitation is you just hit send invitation. It'll send an email, and then the employee can fill out the information on their own. Once you've got them set up, you can actually set permissions to happen within taskTracker. So first of all, you can allow them to log in, which means that they can go ahead and log into the time clock and actually punch in for the day. So a big thing that we found out at our club is that you can't you can't clock in without touching the same piece of equipment, whether it's a tablet or if you have some type of hand scanner. Some people have cards, which is a little bit more sanitary, but for us, it's not as sanitary because everyone's using the same piece of equipment. So for my staff, I'm having them clock in using taskTracker, and then I transfer those hours over to the actual payroll system. So by having this click, that allows them to actually get into the application. This allows them to actually clock in and out for the day, so they can use their phone to clock in and out if you're going to allow that. And they can actually start and stop tasks. So as a user or as an employee, I can go in here into my time clock. I can clock in for the day. Oh, I can go ahead and clock in for the day. Maybe I won't be able to on here. And then I can clock out for the day if I need to and track what's going on. I can also see what equipment I've been assigned. The next thing is I can start and stop tasks, and a whole bunch of other features that you can do within here. So that's how you kind of set up the employee mobile. The next thing you can do here is, and there's one other step that you may need to do, is go to your program setup and make sure your global mobile is set up. So sometimes guys will go ahead and set this up and then no one can log in. And that's because we have a feature on the back end that allows you to shut everyone off for the mobile. And the way we turn that on is we go to our general tab. We go down to our kiosk and mobile, we hit change, and then we just make sure that this allow login is turned on. And the nice thing about that is that if you ever want to shut this down for everyone, you don't have to go through every person and turn off their login. You can just turn this off, and then no one's allowed to use the mobile login. So once you have that, then employees can go ahead and log in for the day and see what's going on. The next thing we want to talk about is our scheduling. That'll be an important feature. Of course, you can always set up the guys to do a staggered schedule by changing the colors. So here I've got a first group and second group. This is probably one of the fastest ways to do it. So you can use colors to go ahead and create these staggered groups, and the guys kind of know that I'm on the purple team or I'm on the blue team. And the blue team comes in at 6:30 in the morning on week 1, and the purple team is coming in an hour after that, and then maybe on week 2 that alternates. And let me show you real quick how to set up those colors. So I'm going to go to Program Setup. I'm going to go over to Employees, and right here I have all my employee groups. All I have to do here is add a group. I can give it maybe this is my first. I can pick a color. I can select a color from the predefined box, or I can add a custom color, or I can move this around and pick the color I want. And once I'm done with that, I can hit Save Changes, and a new group will be formed. Once I've got my groups formed, I can go back to my employee management page. I can click on the person I want, and I can assign them to that group. And that way, every time they're on the job board, they will be labeled with that color right here at the top, so we can see what color they are. You'll also be able to see that in your work board as well. So you can see here blue and purple what the guys are. If you want to take it one step farther, you can go ahead and set up a schedule. So I'm going to go to my employee management page, and I'm going to go up to Scheduler. Now this is our scheduling feature, so this is a really nice, handy feature if we're using the employee mobile side. What we can do here is we can go ahead and add a shift. We can say the first group's going to come in at 6:30. They're going to work an 8-hour shift, which puts us at 2:30, and maybe it's all the blue team. So I just have to click on the blue team to add their schedules in, and then maybe what we can do here is our purple team is going to come in at 7:30. That means they're going to work till 3:30. We can add this in right now. Now, if we don't have mobile turned on, we can always print this schedule by using this export to PDF, and you can hang this up for the guys to see. Or you can email that PDF to them as well. Or you can create a link and email it to them or text them, and they can see their schedule. Once we have that done, if I go to my employee mobile side, which I'm going to go to here, I'm going to look at my schedules for the day. Let me assign myself some time here so you can see my schedules. You're going to see here that my schedule pops up at 7:30 that I'm working, so I don't have any confusion. I can actually even write a note back to you guys and say, hey, I'm not feeling well, so I can go up here and write a note. Not feeling well. I can submit that to you. And then the next time you guys go in here, you'll have an alert that I have a note to you that's not feeling well, and I will say, okay, take some time off. And the employee will get that note as well. through there. And then you can know that, you can see that note, and then you can go ahead and mark that person as having that day off if you need to. So that's a little bit about the scheduling feature. Also, when you have schedules built in, you'll see those right here on your display board. So I can see that Joe's working 6:30 and Ivan's working 6:30. And even when I go to add my staff, if I go to add staff, I can see what schedules I have built in, who's working the early morning shift and who's working maybe the second morning shift. And we can actually import those schedules right into taskTracker and build our days off of that. So that's a great way to go ahead and kind of stagger that staff so you get a little bit of that social distancing. So right now, that kind of takes us through some of the ways that taskTracker can be used for social distancing. Of course, we saw how we can send out that job board. We also saw how we can use the scheduling app to go ahead and help employees see what schedules there are so we get that staggered distance. Using the communication tool is a really big and important thing that can help staff stay informed of what's going on at the club. And of course, the equipment assigned and keeping everyone on the same piece of equipment is a huge feature to make staff feel more comfortable kind of as we navigate some of these difficult times. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to unmute everyone. So if anyone has any questions on there, Gerald, do you have anything to add at this point?
No, James, the only thing you might have missed was, you know, if the guys don't have the elite package or anything like that, they could still just put in the equipment in their regular notes too if they don't want to be fussing around with the elite.
Yeah,
so they can just put it right in the employee notes and keep track of it that way.
So right there, if they're taking the SP1 and the SP2, and you know that, they can go ahead and type those right into the notes section and hit save. So yes, you can do that. And like I said earlier, if you want to use the elite version, at least for the next couple months, to make sure we kind of get through this, we're happy to upgrade anyone who's looking to use the elite version of side equipment. Does anyone want to be brave enough and ask any questions? We've got about 40 people on, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. That was kind of tough with 40 people. If any of you have any questions, feel free to email Gerald and I. My email address is Jamie, J-A-I, at Advanced Scoreboards, and of course Gerald at Advanced Scoreboards. We also have our phone numbers, so just like here, if you want to give me a call on my cell, here's my cell numbers right here, my contact. You can give me a call right there. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have going forward. And there's my email address as well. We want to thank everyone for showing up. It's very successful to have people on. So, thank you so much. Let us know if we can help you any other way. More of these, kind of understand taskTracker and services.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much. We appreciate everybody attending. Thank you.